I just got back from watching James Gunn's Superman, and let's talk about it. Hello, YouTube. Axiom Man here once again. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, took a little bit of a break. A lot going on. Plus, I redid the studio here, but that's neither here nor there. I'll do a video about that topic at another time. But right now, we're going to talk about James Gunn's Superman that I just came back from the theater. And these are my thoughts. I haven't watched anybody else's YouTube videos because I didn't want to be influenced by it. Although it's hard not to be influenced by just social media and everything, because there's some people that say it's okay, there's some, and there's no spoilers, but it does kind of swing you back and forth based on what people are saying. But for the most part, I have not really heard anything about it. These are my thoughts. First and foremost, it is a James Gunn film, so this is going to be spoiler free. I'm not going to say anything about the film. I'm going to put it in the description so everyone knows that I'm not going to give away anything because it's way too soon. But I can say things like that. If you know James Gunn's body of work, then don't expect anything less than a James Gunn superhero film. That can be positive, that can be negative. It just depends on your point of view. It depends whether you like James Gunn. And one thing I will say about that specifically is, whether you like it or hate it, let's just say you don't like his body of work. Well, if you're going to go watch James Gunn's Superman, then you might not like this, right? Let me just say that just right there. Now, I love James Gunn. I love his films. But one of my biggest problems that I had with his last Guardians movie, well, maybe all of them, not the first one so much, the second one, the third one a lot more, was interjecting humor when the situation didn't warrant for it. I am all about levity. There's a difference between humor and just and then levity in a film that requires it. You have a very intense situation sometimes, and then maybe a little quip or something like that might help out, the tension in the film, whatever the case, however you want to formulate that as I described it. But then there's misplaced humor, in my opinion. There's just too much of it. Some out there might call it the Marvel effect, because the MCU is now become notorious for it. And I know I'm talking about a Superman movie, but I just want to make references, so I'm not giving anything away in the film. But for example, you have a reference where Rocket is dying, and they're still making jokes, and you're like, okay, I like the Guardians humor, but is this really the time and place to still be making jokes? I know it's within character for those characters, but the situation doesn't, this is not a time to make jokes, is my point. So in this movie, I felt that there was some very ill-timed humor where the film would have benefited from less of that. Just well-timed humor would have been much better. Think of it like a stand-up comedian. This is the way I see it. Like a stand-up comedian, timing is everything. Sometimes a joke will only hit if you pause and you let the audience like kind of get it, right? And sometimes the humor, the silence like in and of itself is what makes the punchline funnier, because you pause or you don't say the full thing. You just kind of, so there's like this certain like talent and art to even stand-up comedy, whether it's the pause, whether it's the delivery. So that's the way I formulate it in my head, what I'm trying to explain. And that's what I mean. It's like, if you don't time it well, it just comes off as, to me, as eye rolling, like, come on, like, and it it drives me crazy because I'm invested in the scene, and then I get taken out of it. I just Okay, the joke just slaps you in the face like a wet fish, and that bothers me. And there was a lot of instances where I felt like this is exactly what happened. Like I just got hit in the face with a dead fish, and I'm like, man, I was really getting into this scene, and then it would happen. So there is that. One thing I will say though, despite the ill-timed humor, in my opinion, were the action sequences. I really enjoyed the way that Superman flew through the screen. I loved just the action sequences in general. I can't give anything away, but I like the camera action behind it. One thing from Man of Steel and this film that was different is just that it's Zack Snyder has a vision, and I just felt that with Superman, like we didn't see enough of like his flying and his like the fights and things like that. Where I think James Gunn, where he did it better in this movie, is capturing like the camera angle and how Superman is fighting and flying and things like that. And I saw that in the trailer. So you get a whole more heap of it in the film. So I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really cool. And then there is also like this specifically, the characters themselves, like the essence of Guy Gardner as Green Lantern, Superman himself, Lois Lane, the list goes on, right? They felt like the characters from the comic books. Guy Gardner, just the way he's written in the comic books and the way he's portrayed by Nathan Fillion was amazing. Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Lex. It's not a spoiler to say that these characters have certain personalities, right? Superman is the big blue Boy Scout, always trying to do the right thing. Lex is like this maniacal genius, right? Genius. Lois Lane is that girl next door reporter with a little bit of an attitude, depending on whether it's the animated series or the films or the TV shows. Always kind of, so the essence of Lois Lane was definitely there. And one thing I can say for sure, in my opinion here is David Cornswith is Superman. The way he's written in this film is definitely 100% Superman. Whether you like the color scheme or not, the trousers, once again, the way James Gunn wrote Superman, not the whole film, I'm talking about the character, just the Superman himself, was, I think, spot on. I mean, that is capital I, capital S, Superman. Some of the plot threads, oh man, some of the plot threads were like, I was like scratching my head, ladies and gents. I was like, what? Oh, that's the part, in my opinion, that just, yeah, not the best, not the best. The motivations of the characters were there, but there's a difference between the motivation and pulling that off, right? Like, the plot of the story and the way it develops and what causes what. The chain of events that occurs was very sloppy, in my opinion. It was just too convenient, and that's not really giving anything away. Again, it is my opinion. All right, it's my channel, it's my video. Some people might say that I'm judging it too harshly. I seriously don't think so. I just felt that the plot. Okay, maybe not the plot. Let me take that back. I understood what the plot, like how the characters, and I guess that's what I mean by the motivation of the characters. Like I understood, the motivation of Superman. I definitely understood the motivation of Lex and the other characters and the way they carried themselves. But yeah, I mean, there's no way to put it. The convenience of the plot is where I'm kind of like, "Eeh." Where I was just like, I found myself just like, oh man. That's just how I feel. That's just how I saw it. I might rewatch this again in theaters, but yeah, I don't think it's going to help it much because the plot is the plot. Here is what made the movie better for me, though. And this is a very personal thing. So clearly, this is not something that everyone's going to experience. I mean, you're just not. I went with my wife and my daughter. And my daughter is my lovely assistant that's been in some of my other videos. So my daughter, she's 7 years old. She's sitting next to me. And one thing about her going to the movies, without fail, doesn't matter if it's Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, anything animated or tailored for children, when we take her to the movies, she has to use the restroom. She's just, she's one of those kids. She's a kid. Like, Mama, I need to go to the restroom. And sometimes she'll even go twice, and my wife's like, oh, 100%, ladies and gents, Axiom Man Comics viewers. She is just, she's a kid, right? She drinks her icy or her whatever, right? In this movie, she didn't go once, and what's significant about that, at least to me, is that through my peripheral vision, she's sitting next to me. The reason is because she was into the movie, like more than I've seen her get into a movie ever. I was like I'm watching the movie and I'm like looking at her like, whoa, like she's really. I thought she was going to be bored. I'd taken her to a couple of movies and where she takes her blanket and she'll just be bored. She'll just sit. She's falling asleep in certain movies, and some of them have been comic book movies. And she just falls asleep. I thought she'd be into it, whatever the case. But I don't know if it's like now she's gotten to an older age, but I don't think so because we just went to go see Lilo and Stitch not that long ago. And also Elio. We did take her to that. I fell asleep on that one. But same thing, right? And I could tell that she was into the movie. She liked those movies. But, same thing. And this one, she was captivated. That's the perfect word to use. She was on the edge of her seat. We did a little, let's scoop back thing. And yet she scooted forward and she was doing this number. She was showing so much emotion. And she got jump scared. She was like worried at times. She was just like, no. She was doing this number. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, I'm trying to watch the movie, but I'm like, my kid's going nuts watching Superman. And then there was parts where she cheered. She clapped at scenes. I was like, that is what made this movie so special to me. So again, now I have a very biased reason for really liking the film. And it really, I can say that it has nothing to do with the film itself, but of course it does, right? Her reaction and her not needing, like, I need to go potty. Who cares about the movie? No, she did. It was such a weird thing to see, and that she didn't want to leave her seat. She was like in it. She wanted to see what happened every scene after scene. See, she was invested in the film. And that's exactly what you want to see. As a filmmaker, as a writer, a storyteller, is a kid who is just watching Superman and having that reaction. I think I think as an adult we take for granted now because we have the internet. I'm not gonna put anyone else on the spot because I'm just talking about myself. I was about to do the whole like as if I'm not talking just for myself. So for myself, I've read the comics. I have the internet. I can nitpick a movie all day long and all that, and I can I just gave my opinion, but that reminded me of me watching Superman for the first time. Richard Donner's 1978. I wasn't even born yet, but I remember watching the film for the first time, and I didn't care about plot. I didn't care about, oh, well, he doesn't really do this, and oh, that was kind of hokey. I didn't care. I saw Superman fly, and he had the cape, and he was Superman. And I saw my daughter go through that. Amazing. That alone, awesome. Choked up. I'm telling you guys, witnessing that was probably the best part of the whole experience. And especially because I didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, how could I know, right? Especially given the history of, just taking my kid to the movies all the time. And that was so cool. That was so cool. So on that note, given that sometimes I have to remind myself that, hey, it's a James Gunn movie. Go in there and you should have expected a James Gunn movie. And I know that it might come off as a negative, but I don't really mean it that way. I mean that more on an even keel kind of opinion. It's like, well, I went to go see a James Gunn Superman film, and I watched a James Gunn film. Okay. And then, of course, the added bonus of watching my kid just go crazy, watching Superman on the big screen. And she has no other frame of reference. She's too young. She doesn't really read comics. But there you go. There you have it. So I had that added bonus, which is like almost like, more than just a bonus. It was just like like a life experience. And then also, because of that, putting things into perspective as it pertains to going to watch a superhero film. I still mean everything I said in the video, but then I also mean this. It's like, I went there and I had fun. I had fun watching Superman on screen. Was it a little hokey at times? Sure. Was some of the humor just kind of like eye rolling and kind of like overly done? I think so. But I still had fun nonetheless. And I think a lot of the audience might feel that way. I know a lot of the comic book people, especially the Zack Snyder Superman fans. Oh yeah, they're gonna, yeah. Well, I mean, some of the people out there were already tearing it up even before, but now they're really gonna nitpick this, and that's okay. Hey, we're all entitled to our opinion, right? Whether you like Cavill, Reeves, I mean, the list goes on, right? Now we have David Corenswet as Superman, and I dig it. There was a couple of extra credit scenes, which I mean that's you can Google that. I only say that not to spoil anything, but just to tell you guys that if you're interested in that, there is a mid and after credit scene. So make sure you guys stick around, whether it's worth your watch or not. We don't know because this is James Gunn's very first film in the DC universe. I know you can argue that the Suicide Squad, and of course there's been other projects like Peacemaker, the Creature Commandos, but as far as like the launch of the DCU, according to them, this is the first film, right? Superman. So we don't know if those post-credit scenes will, what they mean. On the surface, nor on not the surface, not on a deeper level. I have my opinions on that, but that would mean me giving away something, and I am not going to do that in this review. But that is my review of Superman. If I had to give it a score, I would say I give it about a 7 out of 10. Yeah, about a 7 out of 10. I wanted to give it a higher score. I really did, but I can't give it anything less than a 7. If I said like 6.5 or something like that, I think I'd be like, no, that's too low. Like that, but I can't give it more than a 7, unfortunately. I don't know how you guys will feel. Go watch it. Go watch it in theaters or wait till it comes out. I mean, that's up to you guys. But yeah, I think it's worth a watch in theaters. I will say that. Whether you do it or not, hey, it's your money. It's your time, your money. But I think it's worth going to the theaters just for the theater experience. I mean, it's Superman, ladies and gents. But that's it for me. I will be making a video here about why I've been away. If you haven't guessed it already, the room setup is a little bit different, especially because I'm sitting here and my work area now looks different. I'm using a new camera, but yeah, so I'll do that in another one. For this one though, as always, collect what you love what you collect. I'll see you guys in the next one.